Um, I want to say good evening, welcome to the show. Running a little behind because I have a tendency. I always want to check a couple things before I come on air. I always want to check the count far as COVID is concerned, and I also want to just get a last minute what I call pulse check on what's happening with some of the news stations. And today, I'm gonna be honest with you. My show is going off the rails. I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. So you get what you get today. It is unfreaking real. Um, where my YouTube people at? I see a couple y'all up there. Hey, good evening. How you doing? How you doing? Um, let me let me deal with a couple things. First of all, why am I going off the rails? Because I just don't like the temperature of where we are. I'm not optimistic. I'm not totally pessimistic. I consider myself to be somewhat of a cynical realist. So I'm realistic to a point. And I say that only to say this. Um, I believe in God. I believe God works through man. But you can't believe in God and not believe in the devil. And what we're seeing this week is the personification of evil. You know, there used to be a hymn that talked about silver and gold, and I'd rather. Um, I won't even go there. Let me back up. I'm gonna take a breath. I want you guys to take a breath as well. Say good evening, welcome to the show. Thank you for spending your Thursday nights with me. As I always say, I'm truly humbled that you think enough of me and believe in the cause that I stand for, that you choose to tune in every Thursday night to hear me put it into words and talk about action. I took one step closer to making the company viable reality. It's nothing really to start a company, but to make that company stand for something is what's really hard, and that's where I am right now, folks. I'm getting all of those things in place, and I'll just be honest with you. Starting a company without a viable economic plan, or business plan, or what have you, you're just asking for trouble, and I'm not that person. When I do something, I want it to mean something. I want it to be my best effort. So I'm doing that in the midst of all the other things that I'm going through. But I don't talk so much about what I'm going through because I know you guys have your own struggle. Not procrastination. I was waiting on a couple people to come in since I was not late, but there's an old saying that says, if you're on time, you're still 5 minutes late. So I was late coming in this morning. This is our morning. I say that because when I do my show, I look at it as the dawn of a new day. When I get something off my chest, when I deliver to you a message that's been given to me, I feel like I've started a new day. So I refer to it sometimes as the morning, and it's the dawn of the message. So want to say welcome to the show. My name is Hank Batiste. My show is called I Got Something to Say. So it must be true. You know it's true because it's got me on edge, folks. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head are somewhat silent, but they're also disgusted. Hell out for 4 years. We held out for 4 years because we saw where we were going, and we felt like the antidote. The reason I feel the way I feel is because a lot of times when I give you a problem. I try to give you a solution, my analysis of what's happening and what I think the best solution is to said problem. The problem for the last 4.5, 5 years was a person by the name of Donald J. Shortly after he took office in 2017, I took it upon myself to be one of the first, if not the first, to say, "Run, Joe, run." I felt like he was the antidote to the hate that was delusional Donnie. Now I'm starting to say maybe he wasn't so delusional at all. Maybe I was the delusional one by thinking that hate was not so strong, that all it took was a changing of the guard, if you will, to bring people's consciousness back to a place of one love, in the words of Bob Marley. Trump and Mitch were the personification of not hate in the pure sense of the word, but hate in the sense of the pursuit of power. And what we have seen and heard time after time after time after time again is absolute power corrupts absolutely. So once we create this despot, this demigod, this person who feels that he's bigger than you and I, these delusions of grandeur, that's why I call him the delusional, despicable one. He's delusional in thinking that he's bigger than the plan, the ultimate plan for what we call our country. He's despicable in he has minions and people to carry out said plan. Back in 2017, I told you, and that's why I take it upon myself. I'm repeating myself, but I think it's necessary to say this again. I took it upon myself to be, if not the first, one of the first to say, "Run, Joe, run." I've really, 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 really thought that Joe had not only the experience, he had evolved to a place where he had gone through his own struggles, as we all do, and become a better man as a result of it. So I said, "Run, Joe, run." I talked to a lot of you, and you said, "Why are you drinking the Joe Biden Kool-Aid and blase, blase, blase?" I said, because not only has he evolved, he has these relationships with other members of the Republican Party in America at large to make a difference. And we saw him in the first 100 days hit the ground, not just running as I said he was, but he wasn't trotting. He was at the sprint. And the problem with running at full speed is you can only hold up that pace for so long before you have to stop and catch your breath. I think that's where we are now. Last November proved me right. When people risk their lives in the midst of a pandemic to turn out in record numbers to make Biden the 46th president. On November the 10th, my birthday, my Creole powers told you that even with a majority in the House and the Senate, Biden's biggest problem would be controlling his own party, the Dems. One of the things I didn't tell you, and I know I didn't give you the basis of the show, but I'm just going to go off on this tangent right now, get this off my chest, is the Democratic Party was mainly responsible for the original Jim Crow Senior, Jim Crow 1. They say this is Jim Crow 2.0. I say this is Jim Crow the third, because we've had this subtlety, this overt Jim Crow that's been working behind the scenes. And that's why I said it didn't start with Trump, because we saw Trump just emulated and imitated a lot of things that Reagan did by way of Mitch McConnell. The show tonight is called Two Broken Parties. Hence my tirade, Hence my diversion down this dark road called tangent. Both of the parties are broken, people. The Dems are broken. Sometimes they seem broken beyond repair. But in a two-party system, most of the time they're our best hope. And it's when that hope starts to fade that we have to rely mainly on fate. Okay, you with me? I feel like Reverend Batiste today, so I'm just gonna give it to y'all. The Republican Party goes too far. The Democratic Party doesn't go far enough. By that I mean the Republicans will do absolutely any and everything for their pursuit of power. Their pursuit of power gives them all of those things that's attached to evil: money, prestige, being above the law, feeling like they could do anything. The Dems, on the other hand, don't go far enough. A lot of times, if I can see it with my slightly above average, bordering on what I call genius, mental capabilities, and intelligence, then surely someone up in there, in their cabinets, and their assistants, and their apprentices, and so forth and so on, see what I see. So the question that I pose to you is, if you're in a position or a place to act, why don't you? So tonight we're going to talk about the Republicans go too far and the Democrats don't go far enough. As a result, both parties are broken. So we got two broken parties trying to fix the woes of the world when they can't deal with the speck that's in their eyes. Tonight's show is called Two Broken Parties. Folks, I'm Hank Batiste. I got something to say. It must be true. Stick with me because this shit really does not make sense. But let's get it done. On the positive front, let me just say this. COVID, we're getting to a point where we're starting to manage COVID. Like I told you, I usually check numbers before I come on air. Last week, it was around 700. This week, it's around 570, 575. By night's end, it might be 600. But right now, I think it was 565 just before I went on air. This is good because it's still crazy that we're celebrating only under 600 people dying a day. When I think about how many people are in my family that I know about, I can't come up with the number 600. And I'm not the only one with a crazy libido in my family. Let me just say that. So we're celebrating only around 550 to 600 people dying a day. And that's a good thing. So much so that I took it upon myself, and what I wanted to do, I've been shopping around. I'll divulge. If a girl know the eye, I went and I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for a couple of reasons. A, I wanted to have a one and done. B, I don't like that much of a foreign substance in my body. And C, and most importantly, I'm ready to travel, and I want to be able to travel without consequence of being detained or otherwise. So I got the Johnson & Johnson. I'm feeling good. We'll see how I feel in the next couple of days, so stay with me. Well, and I should say D, I'm not female. I'm not between the ages of 18 and 46, but I don't want to make light of those people that have gotten sick as a result with blood clots and what have you. Last week, I told you we thought about it. I talked to some other people about it, and we all kind of came to our own conclusions that maybe this had something to do with them being in childbearing years, and maybe some of them were taking some type of, I don't know, birth control or hormone therapy that led to higher risk of blood clot. So in my mind, I wrote it off with that, and that's why I made the decision to take the Johnson and Johnson. So, folks, we're moving, and that's the brightest note that I have tonight. Why do I think? Let me move on. Why do I think the Republicans go too far? That's like asking me, why do I think water is wet? Last week, I talked about the watches and who's watching the watches. And I tried to explain to you why it's imperative, why it's important that someone have not only the responsibility of watching the watches, but have the authority when they watch the watches and they see something, they have the authority, or what's important in this country, authority is one thing, power is something else. So having the authority and the power to make necessary changes when it's apparent that the inherent checks and balances. See, we have a three-party government: legislative, judicial, and executive. So the president, the Supreme Court, and Congress. They're supposed to be equally balanced so that they can keep a watch on each other. That's what we call inherent risk. So I hate to turn my show tonight into a civics or American government 101 class, but I think it's important that when I find something wrong, I don't like the normal pundits, talking heads, just talk about what's wrong. I offer you a viable, what I think is coherent and clear solution. That's why I'm talking about we need to come together on certain things. This week we saw this ploy to have a commission to look into what happened on January the 6th. I reposted the spoken word that I wrote based on the inauguration. Now, some of my Facebook friends and family say that I'm a little too cynical, I'm a little too pessimistic. I don't know how to enjoy when something good happens. To them, I say this: nah, 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 I told you so. That's how childish it is. My Creole powers, my powers of analysis and deduction told you. I reposted this spoken word that went into great passionate detail why I felt like those people who did wrong would never be brought to justice or held accountable. So what we saw is just that. The Republicans, they've gone overboard. They talk out both sides of their mouth. Their only concern is the pursuit of personal ambitions fueled by power. That's why you have the Kevin McCarthy's and the Mitch McConnells and the so forths and the so ons. Why aren't these people, why aren't their constituents who are Americans just like you and I saying enough is enough? Why am I talking until I'm blue in the face week in and week out to try to decipher and make sense of this bullshit? It's simply because we've got an election coming up. McCarthy is tunnel vision focused on said election and becoming the Speaker of the House. no matter what it costs the country, no matter what it costs you and I, no matter what it costs our children, our grandchildren, and so forth and so on, or anybody for that matter. All that matters to him is that he have enough support from the Trump supporters to put enough Republicans in the House of Representatives to vote him Speaker of the House. So then we hear all of this other rumors about, he's pissed off these people and blah, 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 blah. That's bullshit. It's straight benign bullshit. Because the thing that I hate and I admire concurrently about the Republicans is they stick together and they follow the party platform. The thing I despise most about the Democrats is they don't. So the Republicans go too far. They do anything for the pursuit of power. They do anything to get what they want. They will lie. They will sell out whomsoever. And nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. The Dems, on the other hand, don't go far enough. You've got 50 Dems plus a vice president that gives you a majority. Instead of trying to convince Republicans to get in line, how about you work with your own party first and bring those Democratic senators, the Murkowskis and the what's his name? The Mansions, all of these people. You've got two. We started off with Joe Manchin, West Virginia. Now we have another that we're talking about having to convince. We can't even, in the midst of what's going on, we can't even get them to unify to block the filibuster. If the filibuster had been blocked or banned, then we would not need 60 votes to have a commission. You see, folks, this is chess. This is not checkers. So here's where it starts to come to light. I told you that Joe would have a problem with his own party. If the Democrats went further to keep their own in line, if the Democrats started acting like they were not supportive of Jim Crow III. But the problem is, no matter what the policy is, they are not affected. When I say they, I'm talking about the congressional Democrats. I'm talking about those Democrats that are sitting in some type of office, be it federal, be it state, or be it on a municipal or local level. Being in office affords them riches, wealth, and power. So when it comes to you and I, we are affected. When it comes to you and I, we have to have a pre-authorization just to have someone swab our throat to see if we have strep throat. They don't. Anything they want is given to them. They are no longer public servants. They serve themselves. And the Democratic Party is not doing enough. They're not going far enough to fight for you and I. So yeah, I am pissed to the utmost of pissosity. And I've been silent about saying this simply because there are so many people that feel like the Dems don't work for us. The Democratic Party is not kind to Black folks. Just having a Black Democratic president or a Black Democratic vice president is not enough. And to those people, I say you are absolutely right. But to you and to them, I'll say we've got a two-party system. And we have to put pressure on the Joe Mansions. We have to put pressure on the Democratic Party, not on Biden, because Biden is doing everything that he possibly can. He showed us that in the first 100 days. Now he's hit a snag. Because if he keeps doing things by executive order, if he can't hold on to the majority or increase the majority in the Senate, especially, if he can hold on or increase the majority in the House of Representatives, then he's going to be a lame duck after 2022. So from 2022 to 2024, it's going to be bullshit. That's why I'm pissed off tonight, folks. That's why I'm pissed off to the utmost of pissosity, because I told you. And when I hear other people saying what I say, when I hear other pundits or talking heads finally start to say what I've been saying since day one, on January the 6th, I said it. This was nothing but a failed coup attempt. On January the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, when it became obvious that nothing would be done, I said the coup continues. On January the 20th, when little Amanda stood up, and there was so much pomp and circumstance, and there was so much what we might call promise, and everybody looked at this little poet laureate and said, oh, she was so eloquent in how she spoke. And then some of you got on my case because I was too cynical. I couldn't enjoy the moment. And I told you, as much as I wanted to bask in the glow of the moment, I could see the darkness on the horizon. And I could see it coming at us. So that's where we are now. We're in the midst of this darkness that we call power hungry people. Republicans go too far. Dems are not going far enough. Why aren't they uniting to get some things done so that we can? I know why Biden is doing what he's doing, because he's trying to win over, as I told you he would, those moderate Republicans, not necessarily in Congress, because I don't know what McConnell has told them, but I know they're scared as hell of Trump. So he's trying to win over the American public, be they Republican, be they Democrat, or be they independents. Because if he can show us, those moderate Republicans, those people with some common sense and some decency and a sense of morality, that the congressional Republicans don't care about the American people. They're playing on the fear. I heard Chris Cuomo use something, and I'm going to steal it from him. He called it white fright. And I have to agree. He plays on the fear of white people who only have one thing to look forward to: white privilege. They're not getting shit out the deal other than the fact that they're not being treated like people of color, and especially us. The Dems are not going far enough because they're not taking our problem serious enough to make a difference. So I had this long, drawn out thing that I was going to talk about tonight, and I abandoned it, folks. I abandoned it because I see a sense of urgency that you and I have to deal with. So I'm going to leave you with that. We got two broken parties. The Republicans go too far. The Democrats don't go far enough. My name is Hank Batiste. I got something to say. Sadly, this shit is true. So do me a favor, go to my YouTube, click subscribe. When I post my videos, folks, it's for a reason. There's something I'm trying to remind you of. So our solution to this nonsense is that we come together because we put them in office. And be they Democrat, be they Republican, be they conservative, be they liberal, be they progressive, we have to hold their ass accountable. We are the ones who are watching the watchers. That's all I got for you tonight. Go to my YouTube, look at the video. In the lower right-hand corner, right under the screen, is this little box that says subscribe. Click on that box. Bada boom, bada bing. Then leave me a thumbs up. Because you know what I say. It's straight, no chaser. It's the truth. It's not my opinion. If you don't believe it, look around. Look at some of the things that I post. Look at some of the things that I'm going to post. Because every day I give you a hint as to what's going on. Because I know you guys are tired. You're super saturated. It's like too much water in the sponge. You pick up the sponge and the shit is dropping water. Now you can't wipe up nothing because it can't absorb anything else. So I know you guys are tired. So come here every week. Dust that shit off. Squeeze that sponge out and get it from your mind. Recharge with me. See, I feel better now because I got it off my chest. Once I tell you what's been told to me, then I'm done with it. It's always important, as I always say. See you next week. Same bad time, same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. No. And as always important, folks, I wish you love. I wish you peace. Like your man. Had grace. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good evening. I'll see you next week. What can I say? What's up, people? How y'all doing? As you can tell.